talking about?
Work it on the
No,
weekend.
no, just turn off the game volume.
What the fuck was that?
What compost?
I named my character.
What'd you name him?
Beta's.
Bruh. Oh, you can fuck in that game. You can fuck Moose.
Yeah. What? You know what?
Yeah.
What?
And then you could also get a perk where you could eat a mom later on. Like down the road. I have that perk where if they die, I could eat them. And I get health.
That's what she said.
What is the point of me taking a picture, honey? No. Oh look! There's no noise in this.
A picture of what?
For my card.
It's like a little like
Oh,
dramatic
nothing.
song, but it's like really live.
Alright, I have created my character. Now, do I just?
Alright, I'm gonna mute my mic
What do I
then.
need to do next? Actually?
It'll just throw you out to the world and it'll give you checkpoints from there. Alright guys, welcome back to the Way the Cookie Crumbles podcast. I am joined by the amazing Compos and Jafet. How are you guys doing today?
Welcome back.
It's the same shit.
No, it's not. Just say welcome.
Alright guys, welcome to
Oh, yeah,
our
have the questions
podcast.
out.
I'm just practicing right now, Dick.
Okay, now you get the questions out.
Well, I'll do that. I'll still practice. Okay. All right, guys. Welcome to the Way the Cookie Crumbles podcast. I am joined by the amazing Compos and Jafet. How are you guys doing today?
Bueno. We're just practicing.
Oh, Shampoo, you can still
Yeah.
talk. By the way, you want to talk for like Jafet or something? Shampoo.
He muted his mic. Delete him.
What fool?
All right, you're gonna answer some questions. All right, welcome to the Way the Cookie Crumbles podcast. I'm joined by the amazing Shampy. How are you doing today, sir?
Lit. Not just like.
I don't think we can have this fool. I don't think he'll take it seriously at all. Reach your mic, fool. Where the fuck is my pit boy at?
Press circle.
No, I need to find it.
Oh, I forgot.
Like, I don't have the fucking full game, nigga.
I don't have the fucking facilities for that big man.
Guess what? Whenever we're gonna start. Found it.
I'm loading in. Hold up. I'm about to
Wait,
start.
was it for only people in the same class?
No. It could be anyone.
Same.
Yeah.
Same classes in school year, yes. But same class, no. Same period.
So I'm gonna ask how you guys doing today. And then I'm gonna ask like, what is something you guys want people to take away from like this whole COVID situation, and what's something you learned from it? And then
Start off with who are you?
Okay.
Because that's the main.
should I be like,
aspect.
do you guys want to give a quick introduction to who you are?
Hold up. First, I need to see.
Alright guys, alright guys, welcome to the Way the Cookie Crumbles podcast. I'm joined by the amazing Compos and Jafet.
You got
And,
the sponsors?
Before we get into it, I want to give a quick shout out to SeatGeek, our sponsor of this podcast. SeatGeek is an amazing way to buy tickets to literally any event you want. You could use promo code NEG.
If you could,
Yeah, we were gonna do Manscaped, but
You're brought to a thank.
I have no arrows, but I got a mix.
Okay, so like literally the question is who are you, and then it's like what do you believe in, what do you value, and shit
Yeah.
like that.
so I'm gonna be
First of all,
like, if you guys
introduce
want to
yourself.
first introduce yourselves, Jafet, you wanna give us a little background about yourself?
Okay, but like so my name is Banasi Jafet Chavez. Mostly everybody calls me Jafet. Born and raised in Los
Okay.
Angeles, have a background of Central American parents. Da 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 da. Yeah.
Alright, what about you,
About
Campos?
right.
You wanna give us a quick background about yourself?
So similar to Jafet, from Malay. Both my parents are actually Central American. Most people call me Campos instead of like Jose, even though that's my actual correct name. And then, yeah, we're both high school seniors. Yeah.
All three of us are high school seniors. My parents are actually from Mexico. Viva Mexico, you know what's up. They're from Puebla, both of them. And they came here to they came here to the United States when they were about, my dad was about 17, my mom was about 19. And yeah, ever since then it's history. And then
I
after
think we're good to go.
that, what do we say?
And then I mean, it has to be 12 minutes. It's long.
Yeah.
Good to kind of extend our shit. And then, what was your community? Oh, and then
Oh
you can
yeah,
start off like with the second question, like yeah.
something
What
like
question would you say?
how where do you live? How long have you lived there? And like um what have you learned about your own community? Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
then who do you want to be? Like the last question could be like, who do you really want to be? Like, how do you imagine yourself in the future? I want to be like Gary V, dog. Shit up, I want to be like Gary V.
TikToks
I know,
every 5 minutes.
no, I genuinely want to be like Gary V. The guy's
Fuck,
fucking savage.
the fool's a goat.
Are you ready?
Yeah, hold on, let me pause my music.
I mean, well, I'm literally just fucking listening
He's
to
gonna run into a scorch beast and he's gonna scream.
I don't know what that is, but I'll act like I know what it is.
Alright, let's
Okay,
see.
we move.
Alright,
You're ready.
ready?
Mhm.
Yes.
3, 2, 1, Act 1, Scene 1. Alright guys, welcome to our podcast, The Way the Cookie Crumbles. I am joined by the amazing Compos and Jafet. Before we get into anything major, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor of this podcast, and our sponsor is SeatGeek. SeatGeek is an amazing way to buy tickets to literally any event possible. Use promo code NEG for $5 off your first purchase. Alright, so first of all, Compos, you want to give us a quick background about yourself?
All right, so I'm a high school senior from Roosevelt, Roosevelt Magnet. Uh, come from South Central LA. Both my parents are Salvadorian. Even though my name's Jose, most people call me Campos, just sort of like to make it easier.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah.
Alright, what about you, Jafet?
Um, so my name's Bonasi Jafet Chavez, but everybody calls me Jafet because my first name's really hard to pronounce. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. I have my dad's from Central America, and my mom's Mexican. And yeah, I'm a senior at MSTMA at Roosevelt.
All right, and so for me, my parents both from Mexico, from Puebla, Viva Mexico. My parents came here when my dad was about 17, and my mom was like around 19, and yeah, ever since then I live in South Central LA, and I attend MSTMA. And Campos, you mentioned that you're from South Central, right? Most of your life you lived there.
Mhm.
What's something that you've learned from that community, or something that you really appreciate from that community?
You know, you can say what you want about the community. Like most people have like a very negative like idea of it, but like yes, it has its bad sides like every community, but like I think the very important part that people miss out is like the unity people have, where it's like yes, like we have these negative things around us, but we always like constantly like unify under that, and like we try to respect others, and like we know that like we are going through a different struggle, and like how there are many different lives going around us, and like it's not just like one single ethnicity, like it's multiple ethnicities in South Central, and like
Mm-hmm.
how having so many different like communities around us, like how that affects us, but like we're always united in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Jaffe, you also live in a similar community. You live closer to the school, actually, you live in Boyle Heights. Well, how do you say that would compare to like Campus's experience?
I would compare the community-wise because mostly everybody here in Boyle Heights knows each other.
Mm-hmm.
So say, you can go to your local store or something, like you would probably see somebody that you know. And there's like, so Ocampo saying like many people see like the bad side of it. I basically grew up in Section 8 projects where it's like, sometimes a bad place to be in at certain times. But this like actually has shaped me. My community has shaped me in like a person where I can say that I've basically lived in like two sides, the good side and the bad side.
Mm-hmm.
And like the people around me also contributed in my life because if they wouldn't contribute, like I wouldn't get each side. I wouldn't understand the good side and the bad side of how my community is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then for me, I lived in South Central for like half of my life, and then I moved over here closer to Inglewood by the airport. And over here it's kind of different because the population around me, the people around me, they're mostly African Americans, and honestly, it's like a change that I got used to over time. Like at first, I had like a fixed mindset. I'm like, oh, it's probably gonna be a bad neighborhood, but no, actually, it's a really good neighborhood. I really enjoy like the people around me. Like Jafet said, like literally almost everyone knows each other here too. And yeah, just getting to see two different sides, like South Central and then over here in Inglewood, it's really amazing to see how different communities interact with each other. And yeah, as Jafet, you were saying something about how people shape you and how do you want to be looked at in the future by like experiences?
So the way that I picture myself in the future is someone like a very famous person called Gary Vee, who
Hmm.
inspires many people. You know, he tells them to do whatever they want because at the end of the day, it's their life, and nobody else can change who you really are. And I
Hmm.
just feel like that brings joy to me because I care about other people. So if they're happy, I'm happy. I want everybody to really show who they really are and reach their full potential. And like it really gives me hope because there's also people that do that to me. Like the older people. Basically like let's say an example, other famous people, right? Who I can look up to, saying, okay, I can get ideas from this person and then use it in my life, and then teach someone else like that.
Okay. Okay. And then what about you, Campus? How do you want to be look like in the future?
I mean, I think it's important to like try to keep uh like culture and like kind of like the background of who we are as Latinos like strong. So
Hmm.
I mean, I always want to make sure that that stays like even with like my like kids and all that, like and like the people I meet, like I want to like teach people around me like the culture and like the historical background of being a Latino. So that's kind of like why I decided to like become a teacher.
Hmm.
And then, I think I've learned over the years of like whatever needs to be like a good teacher. And obviously like I still have much more to learn, which I will eventually,
Hmm.
but like I think just from like seeing how teachers like learn and like the way how MSCMA allows us to like see teachers learning, like with the student teacher program, I
Hmm.
think it's helped me a lot.
So you say you want to be a teacher. So like, what's one message that you have in mind right now that you want to get across to like a younger generation or other type of people?
I think the most important one that like I think MSCMA does like pretty well is like be happy with who you are and be proud of where you come from.
Hmm.
Because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm Latino and like, we're limited on doing this and that, and it's like, don't think of it that way. Think of it as like you are like special, and you
Hmm.
have something that no one else can say, which is our historical and like very, very deep background of like being the original people, like the original owners of like this land.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot because like for everyone's number one priority, it should be be part of who you are and like the things you have accomplished because at the end of the day, it's your life, it's your pathway, the things you want to do with your life, and I feel like if you're listening to other people, it just brings you down more and it makes you not focus on what you actually want, and when that um when that happens, it just gives other people like, oh, they're gonna listen to me. It brings them down.
Hmm. So yeah, and what's okay? So, most of us have lived in kind of similar. How do you say it? Like we've kind of lived similar lives because we've all came from like a Latino parents. What's something you've learned over time from them? If whoever wants to jump in, I don't know, Campos.
Well, I get started.
Yeah.
I think the biggest important, like the most important thing that like Latino parents teach you is like how important respect is and like understanding that like you, well, yes, you are allowed to have an individual, like your individual personality. There's
Hmm.
also someone that's always like there to make sure that even though like you don't see them, like you don't see it as the right thing in like that point, they're always thinking in the best interest for you.
Hmm.
And I think like you always have to respect that like in parents and like I feel like a lot of other cultures maybe don't enforce it as much, but like Latinos, it's like the respect is like the most important thing to us.
Hmm. What about you, Jafet? What do you think?
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, so like since we've all came from like Latino parents and we've all like had similar experiences. What's something that you've taken away from your parents? What's something you've learned from them?
I've mostly learned a lot from my parents, because of like the struggles that they've came through, just to give me a better life. And it shows that I shouldn't take anything for granted because, they came here to give me a better life so I can have the things that they wanted to have and,
Hmm.
reach the goals that they wanted to reach. And, from that, it just makes me feel like it makes me feel motivated because it's like I want to make my parents proud. Like I want to make sure that all their hard work and struggles coming here from their homeland and leaving their families behind and everything. Like I want to make sure that they're proud of me at the end of the day because of the struggles that they went through.
Okay. Yeah. And for me, honestly, I've learned a lot from my dad. Like nothing comes easy in this life. Like there was a certain point in like time where we were struggling bad. We were like like research. We were lacking resources and stuff, and it was just like it was just honestly, I feel like it was a blessing in disguise because I got to see one side of life, and I get to see the struggle that people go through on a day-to-day basis. And now, thanks to my dad and my mom, being in a better position right now, it's so like I feel even more blessed now. So I feel like I've learned that no matter what, times do get rough at points, but you can overcome it no matter what. And so that's something that I've learned. And yeah, so I have a question for Jafet. Like, what do you think the foundation of life is? What do you think makes life so valuable in your opinion?
Like I've been saying like the whole time, what makes it valuable is that every person has its own journey. You know, not everybody's the same, not everybody's planned to do the exact same thing. And you know, the beautiness of life is that, you know, there's a bunch of things to explore, you know, bunch of pathways, bunch of different places and, you know, ideas that people can do because, you know, there's so many things out in this world that a lot of people still haven't discovered and it just makes this like, you know, this world a beautiful place.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I completely agree. This world, like the different type of people around us, it's just everything in the world just makes it a beautiful place. All right. What about you, Compos? What do you think like the foundation of life is?
I mean, I agree with you guys. Like, I think life isn't. I mean, it's what you make of it.
Hmm.
But it's important that like the foundation of life is the people around you
Hmm.
and like the people that like make you happy and that you always have happiness around you. Like you never like even if you know like if you feel like something's negative for you, like you have to like cut it off, as they say.
Hmm.
And then yeah.
Yeah, and then.
Yeah, I like to add on to that too. Like, you know, when he said about the people around you, because, you know, mostly, you know, a lot of people are always like, oh, you know, choose your friends wisely and stuff like that. And I feel like, you know, with the people that you express yourself with, it makes you feel more of yourself, and you know, they help one another. You know, your friend groups or like, you know, family, like, you know, a type of community.
Hmm.
You know, when you guys help each other, it just brings each other up. And you know, so sometimes, you know, we guys would have bad moments and stuff, but at the end of the day, you know, everybody's trying to reach their level. And with that friend group, you know, if it's, you know, the right friend group for you, you know, everybody just encourages one another to do better.
Hmm. And yeah, and you're like talking about friend groups and things. Can you share like a specific moment you've had with like your friend group where you've like they've helped you out overcome something or like something they've taught you?
No, actually, no, I have a lot, but you know, there's always one, you know, the person in this podcast I'll say, you know, who's literally always helping me out. Like, I don't know what I'd be without this guy, man, because you know, every time I'm about to make a decision, he's always coming in, you know, either like if he's in a bad mood or good mood, he's always coming in, telling me my right or wrongs, and it's like, you know, I just appreciate that because, you know, if it wasn't for him in high school, you know, I don't honestly think I'd be like in a good position.
All right. And what about you, Campos? What do you have to say about like your friend groups or just family? What's a specific moment in which they've helped you?
Um, that's hard because like I feel like there's a lot of like Jafet, there's a lot of moments, but I think one of the more important one was like when I was really struggling with like trying to get motivated for school,
Hmm.
and I just felt like there was no point in like doing stuff. But if, like I think all of you guys were like there for me, like hey, like just do your work, like you know, get it over with. Like we're here to help you. Like you need help with anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that was really important to me.
Yeah. And like Jafet has been saying, I feel like it's really important to surround yourself with like good people, people that motivate you, and just people that give you good vibes in general. And yeah.
Yeah. Also, you know, with like the friend group, you know, me coming into freshman year, it was actually like it was a really big friend group. There was like at least a couple, 30 of us, and you know, just within that first year of high school, you know, kids are like from Central, you know, from Honduras, from El Salvador, Guatemala, like everywhere, like they've actually, you know, taught me a lot. And like every year, like my friend group has been getting smaller because when I came in as a freshman, everybody was a senior at that time when I was like talking to them,
Hmm.
and you know, it kept getting smaller, but you know, some people stayed. And you know, actually, that has taught me like really, they've taught me a lot about life, not like only in school, but like
Hmm.
in life because you know they've been, you know, through the same thing, and I can, you know, say, oh, you know, my freshman year, these guys taught me something, and, you know, like every year it was basically like a different life lesson within my friend group.
Hmm. Yeah. And I feel like adding on to what you're saying is like no matter like what, no matter if people like leave your life at some point because they just go on to bigger things or whatever, I feel like no matter what, every person that enters your life leaves a mark there and it's permanent. So I agree with that sense. And like, no matter what, like even though you might not notice it right now, everyone who is your friend leaves like a lesson behind towards you. So yeah. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much wrapping it up on today's podcast, you know. Any last things you guys want to say before we sign off?
I just want to
Um,
say that, I'm a miss school. Like, as much as like no, I'm for real. Like, as much as like, I've had like my bad moments, like really bad. But
Hmm.
I mean, at that, like, I still value that like as a really good thing. Because if it's like, if I didn't make those decisions, I don't think school would be that like much good for me.
Hmm.
Because you always gotta have some good and bad moments in school, and just realizing that the coronavirus is just like messing up my senior year. It just sucks. Because who knows what could have happened if we were still in school.
Hmm. Yeah. And what about you, Combs? Any last things before we sign off?
yeah, I think I agree with you. But like, I feel like we took like school for granted for a while. But like
Hmm.
now that we don't like we're no longer there, it's like kind of hit us. It kind of hit us like we're like how much we actually need school, and like how much we're used to like being in school all the time. So it
Yeah.
feels a bit weird. Like we've started to miss it.
Yeah. And yeah, of course, we're all gonna miss it. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much all the time we have today. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. See you next time on our podcast. Peace.
Peace.
All right, there you go.
I don't know why we both said peace at the same time, bro. I don't know for whose podcast, but I